Hey everybody, I just got back from seeing the new Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and what a weird title. It reminds me of Hunter x Hunter a little bit for any of those anime fans out there. Wait a minute. Gong and Killua, G and K, like Godzilla and Kong? My god. So anyways, this will be my spoiler-free review of Godzilla X Kong. I'll say this. I think the movie truly benefits from having followed Godzilla vs. Kong, which in my opinion is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I did not like that movie. I did not like the characters. I thought the fight sequences were okay at best. You know, it just wasn't for me. I had a hard time with it. The people, the human characters are still the weakest part, and they're always going to be. It doesn't seem like anybody here is particularly interested in telling human stories, which is a problem. It's a little disappointing, especially coming off like Godzilla -1, which was such a human story. So this one's a little bit more, just get your cast of characters together. Of course, everybody knows each other. They got some history, winks and stuff like that. But what's great about it is they really scaled down the number of like human theaters of action in this. There's just the one story with all of our characters going through. So I really appreciate that, because I didn't like how widespread some of the other storytelling was. It's a little, it makes this movie feel a little less choppy. It is still a little choppy in parts. It's okay to finish some scenes. You don't have to like cut to something in between to like, and then come back. Like, we understand passage of time. If you cut to a next sequence, you don't need to cut away to cut back to make it seem like there's been a passage of time. We're not that stupid. The movie is predominantly a Kong movie, which again, I approve of. I think Kong, even though Godzilla is my main man, I think Kong makes a much better protagonist in general. He's able to emote more. He's more sympathetic. We get to see him be more human in a lot of ways, especially in his interactions with Diddy Kong. They never, you know, they don't have names. They're just giant apes. So when he meets like the little one in the trailer, you know, their kind of journey together I thought was pretty interesting. And again, you get a lot more empathy and humanity from Kong. You get to see how like the little guy, how he kind of interacts with Kong and stuff like that, which is really nice, because it allows then Godzilla to be just truly monstrous, to just truly be a force of nature, to be like this all-powerful legendary monster, which... that legendary monster, I hear what I did there. Which the movie never lose sight of. They never for a second be like, oh man, what other thing could we do? No, it's like, all right, Godzilla's going to be the answer to this, because Godzilla's cartoonishly powerful, very powerful. Like, why wouldn't Godzilla be our best option here? Kong knows it. The humans know it. Godzilla knows it. So a brief spoiler rundown of the plot is... you know, pretty much anything you've seen in the trailers. So if you've seen the trailer, you've seen kind of the plot. There's like one or two things that they kind of keep out of the trailers, and I won't go into them here. But in terms of like story, Godzilla's kind of like doing Godzilla stuff, and then all of a sudden there's this weird signal coming from Hollow Earth, which I still hate. But like I said, having followed Godzilla versus Kong, you know there's going to be the Hollow Earth, and all that dumb stuff is, you know, you kind of shrug it off, or at least I shrugged it off this time. I'm not as interested in some of the faux science behind it. It's just weird, right? Hollow Earth is weird and stupid, but it being the second time we've seen it, I'm a little, I guess I would say, more forgiving of it, or just not as critical this time, because I have a certain expectation that none of their science is going to make sense. None of this will make sense. So it's just like, turn that part of my brain off, enjoy the ride. So there's a signal that comes from Hollow Earth. Godzilla starts supercharging. The humans go down to find out what's going on and they go with Kong. And then, you know, there's that huge thing where they reveal like the new bad ape. And like that character is so half-baked, the villain. It's so weak. It's just one of those, we got to do something, and they decide to go with a giant whip-toting version of like, I don't know. It's just, he wasn't particularly interesting. He doesn't really get much to do. He's just evil for the sake of evil. And like, you've seen in the trailers where he's got like that Kong like mining facility or whatever. It's like, that's it. It's like very one note. It's the trailer before it for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes looks like it'll have a much better story about an ape tyrant than, you know, you expect from Godzilla X Kong. So if you're going in there expecting like, oh, I wonder what this whole like Kong society is about, you're not going to get anything. You're really not. But it's, how important is that to a movie that seems more interested in just showing us giant monsters fight? It's really up to you, and it's up to what your expectations are for this kind of a movie. The monster fights are pretty cool in general. There's some stuff I definitely haven't seen before, which there's a fight later on in the movie where I'm like, well, this is just bonkers, like absolutely bonkers. So I enjoyed it enough. You know, this isn't again, it benefits from coming after Godzilla vs. Kong, which I thought was just absolutely ridiculous. So the monster fights in here I think are very serviceable. Like I said, there's still the people stuff is still very cringy. They introduce late into the game like in a prophecy that really has no place kind of being in this movie. It kind of throws a few wrenches into like the flow of the story, and it kind of messes up some of the backstory elements a little bit for me. And of course it revolves around like, you know, there's a key to everything, like the one girl is the key to everything, and it's just, you know, you've seen this plot play out a million times, and the revelation of the plot and like its resolution I'm not a big fan of. They do something that like I was really expecting quite more to come of it, but nothing really happens, and it's like one or two very small things, and I'm like, this is what you had a prophecy for? So I didn't think they paid off in any significant way. I really didn't. So that kind of bummed me out. But in general, I gotta say the movie was a lot more fun than I thought it was gonna be. I truly expected it to be terrible. It's not fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. It's better than, like I've said many times, it is better than Godzilla vs. Kong, a movie I could not stand. But it's a far cry from like the Gareth Edwards one, which I actually quite enjoyed. I would say it's probably on par with like King of the Monsters for me. I kind of liked King of the Monsters a little bit more than everyone else, but I would say like in terms of spectacle, this has more spectacle than King of the Monsters does. Like I said, it's a very good Kong story, which I appreciate. It ended in a satisfying way, and I'm sure if it makes money, they've left themselves plenty of places to go for a sequel. Who knows what they'll do. I've had worse times at the theater. The movie itself looked pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of like bright colored lasers and everything everywhere. So if you're photosensitive, just be forewarned for that. Plot is forgettable. Human characters mostly forgettable, but not nearly as annoying as they were in Godzilla vs. Kong. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got on this that's spoiler free. I mean, there's not much in terms of spoilers anyways, so I probably won't do like a spoiler video. I'll just talk to my friends about it in real life. In the end, I kind of recommend it. It's kind of fun to see these monsters slam into each other on a big screen. Yeah, so I ended up enjoying it. It's fun in that turn your brain off kind of way and just sit there. Today was a super rainy day, so it was a perfect day for a movie. The human stuff is still kind of like the weakest element, but like I said earlier, you knew it was going to be. But monster spectacle is pretty good, and matinee price was right. So yeah, I recommend it if you're just looking to turn your brain off for a couple hours. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys next time. All right, bye.